Out this PT 365 polity, and here we are at the topic that is Interstate Council. So recently we know that Interstate Council has reconstituted, and how it is set up? It is set up by the recommended by the Sarkaria Commission, and it is set up by the presidential order in 1990. Okay, Article 263 basically provides for the constitutional backing of Interstate Council. And who is the chairperson here in this case? So chaired by the PM, the Prime Minister is the chairperson, and CM of all states and union territories, and having legislative assembly. So union territories are those who have legislative assembly. Presently there are 3, that is Delhi, Puducherry and Jammu and Kashmir. And administrator of UT without legislature means एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर होंगे उन यूटीज़ के जो विदाउट लेजिस्लेचर होंगे, और जो विद लेजिस्लेचर है सीएम ऑफ दैट यूटीज़. नाउ कॉम्पोजिशन इज़ ऑफ 6 कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर होंगे इंक्लूडिंग होम मिनिस्टर टू बी नॉमिनेटेड बाय द पीएम. सो होम मिनिस्टर भी होंगे. एंड स्टैंडिंग कमिटी ऑफ काउंसिल इज़ बेसिकली चेयर बाय होम मिनिस्टर, 5 कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर्स एंड देयर आर 9 सीएम. So 6 central cabinet ministers होंगे, and it member that consist by the chaired by home minister. There are 5 cabinet ministers and 9 CMs, and feature is that recommendatory body or inter-state and interstate disputes, also promote coordination on such disputes, and it is not a permanent constitutional बॉडी. परमानेंट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी नहीं है. एंड अमेंडमेंट हुआ था 1990 में. व्हाट हैज़ अमेंडेड? दैट गवर्नर कैन अटेंड इन केस स्टेट हैज़ presidential rule. So in this case the governor can attend that, and also it is nominated by the chairman of permanent invitees from amongst the other union ministers. And now we have a different topic, that is related news. Here Maharashtra and Karnataka border dispute has arisen, that the dispute is over 7,000 square kilometer area along Maharashtra borders with Karnataka in districts of Belgavi, Uttara Kannada, Bedra and Gulbarga. So here it is the mechanism to resolve disputes between states is Article 3 empowers Parliament to form a new state. Means Parliament can form a new state and also alter the state's boundaries or names. You know that Article 3 gives the power to the Parliament. Now, as per Article 131, confers upon Supreme Court exclusive jurisdiction to deal with the central state and interstate disputes. So Article 131 basically give Supreme Court exclusive jurisdiction to deal with such. And also in 2004 Maharashtra government moved to the Supreme Court under this over this dispute. Article 263 entrusted the President to create interstate council which may tender advice regarding resolution of interstate dispute. Here we have also discussed, that is Article 263 gives President that power to create an interstate council which consists of Prime Minister as a chairperson and CM of all union territories which have legislative assembly, and all the states, and administrators of UT without legislature. Now aspirational district program. Here why it is in news? Because recently an assessment report of aspirational district program was released jointly by Institute for Competitiveness and Institute for Competitiveness and Social Progress Imperative. So recently assessment report of aspirational district program was released. Okay, released by whom? By IFC, that is Institute for Competitiveness and Social Progress Imperative. Now about aspirational district program, why it is so? Because ADP was launched by the Government of India in January 2018 to accelerate improvement in the socio-economic indicators of the most underdeveloped district of the country, and currently the program has been implemented in 112 of India's 1739 districts, including 35 left-wing extremism and affected regions spread across the country. Now, the program is driven by the following ideas that signal a shift in the approach of the government towards policy and governance that is moving beyond economic measures of success and also enabling equitable regional development and driving change through cooperative and competitive federalism. Now, the program focuses on the practical and measurable social progress outcomes in 6 main themes that direct impact the quality of the life as well as the income productivity of the citizens. These are basically health which impact 30%, education, agriculture, water resources, financial inclusion, and also skill development 5%, and basic infrastructure gives 10% impact. Now these further broken down to 49 indicators. Okay, so the program is based on the 3 core principles that are which are encapsulated in 3C approach. Here, convergence is that among state and center initiative at a district level, and also collaboration among state, citizen and functionaries of the center and state government, including district teams, and competitive among districts. And also the basic structure of the program is at the central level, Niti Aayog is anchoring the program, and individual ministries have assumed responsibility to drive the progress of the district, and also the state government are the main drivers of the change. Each state has formed a committee under the respective chief secretary to implement as well as track the program. Now for each district, a central Prabhari officer of the rank of additional secretary, joint secretary has been appointed to provide feedback and recommendations based on their local findings. Now under the program, Niti Aayog released Delta ranking that ranks district based on the monthly improvement achieved in the 6 focused areas through the Champions of Change dashboard and online dashboard. Here we have another topic that is of a judiciary, and it is really important topic. Just 1 minute. So here, if we talk about judiciary, there is a concern that of contempt of court was in news. So recently, why it is in news? Because the Supreme Court held a lawyer activist, that is Prashant Bhushan, guilty of contempt of court in the context of comment made on social media targeting the current Chief Justice of India. He was basically commented on the social media targeting the current Chief Justice, and it was in news. Now the contempt of court, basically we know that it refers to the offence of showing disrespect to the dignity or authority of the court. Now a rationale of this provision in the court must be protected for the tendentious attacks that lower its authority, defame its public image, and make public lose faith in its impartiality. So basically what it basically lowers its authority, its defame in the public and public image, and public may lose its faith about its impartiality. And also there is a article which article 263 we got to know about the interstate council, and 261 says about this contempt of court. That article 261 says that full faith and credit shall be given throughout the territory of India to the public acts, records, judicial proceeding to the union and every state. So article 261 important here, which gives that full faith and credit shall be given throughout the territory of India to the public act, record and judicial proceedings of the union and every state. Here there is something written in this box, that is Mungoliker principles. Here it in the criticism against Supreme Court's ruling in its counsel invoked that Mungoliker principles, urging the court to show restraint. S. Mungler versus Unknown in the case led to the landmark ruling on the subject of contempt. Now by 2:1 majority, now the court has Mungekar, then editor of the Indian Express, not guilty of contempt, although the same bench has initiated the proceedings and the counsel of the question in exercising the contempt jurisdiction came to be called in the Mungekar principle. No need to be. Here now the question is, what if it refers to the offense of showing disrespect to the dignity and authority of the court? So what could the refers of the offenses we can go with? Like, there is a constitutional provision as per Article 261. We know that the full faith and credit shall be given to the judicial proceeding. We need to give it a full faith and credit related to the judicial proceeding. And also there is a reasonable restriction as per Article 19 sub Article 2. Reasonable restriction means that we have a reasonable restriction on various acts, and Article 2:129 and 2:15, that is Supreme Court and High Court have power to punish for contempt of court respectively. So if we got to understand and if we want to learn this thing, 129, how we can remember this in case of Supreme Court? 129, is there any 129 and 215? 129 and 215, अब कोई निमोनिक या कुछ ऐसा याद नहीं आ रहा है. हाउ डू वी रिमेंबर इट? केस हुआ कब? केस हुआ था बहुत पहले. आर्टिकल 261 कहता है कि भाई फुल फेथ होना चाहिए जुडिशरी प्रोसीडिंग्स में और क्रेडिट हैज़ टू बी गिवन टू दैम. एंड 129 and 215, 129, 215, it is for Supreme Court and High Court, that gives power punishment for contempt of court. They have a power to do that. Now Article 142 also powers to seek Supreme Court to punish for contempt of court or any person attendance, means powers to the Supreme Court to punish for contempt of court to any person attendance. Now there are various provisions, constitutional provision in this regard, though we need to remember all these sections. And there is a 129 section and 215 in respect to the Supreme Court and High Court, and there is another article, that is 142 and sub-article 2, that talks about that powers to the Supreme Court to punish for contempt or seek any person's attendance. Now what are the legal provision in case of a contempt of court Act 1971? Here it defines the contempt of court as constitutional, does not define it. So constitution doesn't have any definition in regard to the contempt of court. So there is a specific act in this regard has made in 1971. So at the time of the Indira's government. And civil contempt of or disobeying of order, means civil contempt is also for disobedience of order, and criminal contempt for scandalizing the court, interference or threat to interfere with judicial proceedings, and also there is a 6 months imprisonment or ₹2,000 fine, and cannot initiate contempt proceeding past 1 year expiry or alleged contempt. Now there is an exception, that is a fair and accurate reporting of judicial proceeding. Also fair criticism on merit of judgment, merely defamatory attack on judge and not intended to interfere in the proceeding. Now 2006 amendment introduced truth as a valid defense if done in public interest. So it is important, in 2006 it has been happened that amendment introduced where truth as a valid defense if done in the public interest. 2006 it has happened. 2006 we can remember and truth has been introduced. And if it is in the public interest, then it is definitely valid. Now we have to go for the mechanism to investigate charges against Supreme Court judges. Means what is the mechanism when to investigate charges against the Supreme Court judges. Now what has happened here, that recently Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister had written to the Chief Justice of India complaining about misconduct on the part of sitting Supreme Court judge. So here Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister had written to the Chief Justice of India complaining about misconduct on the part of the sitting Supreme Court judge. So over the year, three mechanism: in-house procedure, that is 1999, sexual harassment guidelines, and removal for proven misbehavior or incapacity have involved to investigate case of misconduct, including cases of sexual harassment, misbehavior or incapacity against judges. Now how do we investigate this? Who may file a complaint against the removal proceeding as per 124? Okay, 129 we have learned related to the contempt of court, and Supreme Court have that power. Okay, now who may file the complaint? Signed notice by at least 100 member of the Lok Sabha or 50 member of Rajya Sabha. Means if it is a signed notice, 100 members of Lok Sabha signed notice of at least 100 members of Lok Sabha and 50 members of Rajya Sabha. Means as the number as double in Lok Sabha, so they need 100 members, and for Rajya Sabha they need 50 members on charges of misbehavior or incapacity by a judge. Means judge doesn't have incapacity, judge doesn't have that capacity, and also there is a misbehavior by the judge. In-house procedure of Supreme Court is that complaint of misconduct may be filed by any person. So complaint of misconduct may be filed by any person. Now in 2013 what has happened, that Supreme Court sexual harassment regulation, where written complaint of sexual harassment by a woman has happened in 2013. Then person to whom complaint must be filed means presiding officer of the relevant house of the parliament. We know that who is the presiding officer in case of the relevant house. Presiding officer means speaker in case of a Lok Sabha and vice president in case of Rajya Sabha. Now the Chief Justice of India or President of India, to whom we can go for after general in-house procedure of Supreme Court is basically Chief Justice of India or President of India. Now the gender sensitization and internal complaints committee. Now preliminary inquiry is that if the notice is in order, and the presiding officer will constitute a 3-member committee to investigate the complaint, and Chief Justice of India is required to determine whether the complaint is either frivolous or serious. Now if the central Chief Justice of India finds that the complaint involves serious misconduct or is impropriety, he will seek the response by the concerned judge. Based on the response and supporting materials, if the Chief Justice of India finds that the complaint need a deeper probe, he will constitute an inquiry committee. And if the JSICC is satisfied that complaint is genuine, it will constitute a 3-member internal subcommittee to conduct an inquiry into the complaint. Now, composition of inquiry committee means committee will comprise a Supreme Court judge, Chief Justice of High Court, and a distinguished jurist. Now, the committee will comprise 3 judges, including judges of Supreme Court and 2 Chief Justice of Inter High Court. The committee will also comprise a member of GSICC or person nominated by GSICC, with majority members being a woman and an outside member. Okay, it is not so important topic they have given. Now we have another topic, that is e-Lok Adalat. It is very, very important. We may expect many points here. It is in news because in the period of turbulence caused by the pandemic, legal service authorities adapted to the new normal and moved Lok Adalat to a virtual platform called online Lok Adalat or e-Lok Adalat. So basically this lockdown and due to this pandemic, we have legal service authorities have a creative adapted to the new normal. So it is new normal now. So what about e-Adalat? If we talk about this, e-Adalat were organized in 15 states. So that is organized in 15 states, leading to the disposal of 2.51 lakh cases from June to October. Means from June to October they have achieved a landmark hike, that is around 2.5 lakh cases. Now the Lok Adalat is one of the alternative dispute redressal mechanism, we know, where disputes pending in the court of law or at a pre-litigation stage, when this is at a pre-litigation stage, and are settled amicably without any expense or litigants. Now they have been a statutory status under Legal Service Authorities Act 1987. Here in this case, it generally consists of a judicial officer as a chairman. Judicial officer is a chairman, and a lawyer and social worker as a member. Now they are instrumental in reducing the burden on areas of the court disposal of a long pending litigation between the parties at the pre-litigation stage, and we know that it works on the pre-litigation stage or pending cases among the court, between the court. Now award is being deemed to be a decree or a civil court, and it is final binding on the party, and no appeal against such award lies before any court. Recently, Chhattisgarh have become first state in the country to integrate state-level e-Lok Adalat. Okay, now we have alternative dispute redressal mechanism. It is important, very important rather. It even come to the economy point. Not only polity, but it is important in terms of economy. That alternative dispute redressal mechanism, here ADR is basically of a mechanism of dispute resolution that is non-adversary, that is working together, cooperative to reach the best resolution for everyone. Here ADR, that is alternative dispute resolution mechanism, can be instrumental in reducing the burden of litigation on courts while delivering a well-rounded and satisfying experience for the parties involved. Now the Legal Service Authorities Act was passed in 1987 to encourage out-of-court settlement. Now Arbitration and Conciliation Act was enacted in 1996 to deal with domestic and international arbitration. In India, alternative dispute redressal is established on the basis of Article 14. So Article 14, on the basis of Article 14, that it has established, that is equality before law, and Article 21, that is right to life and personal liberty under the Constitution of India. So Article 14, that we know, it is related to equality before law, and Article 21, that is related to the right to life and personal liberty under the Constitution of India. Now the directive principles of state policy, that is TPSP, of the equal justice and free legal aid as engraved in Article 39A of the Indian Constitution, can also be achieved by the alternative dispute redressal. Now arbitration, that is binding award, and arbitrator considered evidence, and it is negotiation, that is voluntary agreement without any work out a solution directly. Now the alternative dispute redressal mechanism is a way to stand out of a court or to get out of a court. And conciliator, basically it explains the law and has a non-binding recommendations, whereas mediator facilitates solving problem and also it facilitates negotiation, mediation. Arbitration and conciliation. Now there is a related development has happened, that Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Bill of 2021 was promulgated. What are the key amendments they are talking about? That unconditional stay on enforcement of arbitral award, means there is a stay on enforcement of these awards in case where the arbitration agreement or contract is induced by fraud or corruption, and until recently an arbitral award was enforced even if appeal was filed against it in the court, means that is enforceable if appeal was filed against it in the court, as we know that it is unappealable. Now removes Schedule 8 of the Act that contains the necessary qualification for accreditation of arbitration. That's an accreditation of arbitrators, and also now qualifications, experience and norms for accreditation of arbitrators shall be as specified by the regulations, now which may be framed by the Arbitration Council of India and proposed by Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Act 2019. Now according to 8th schedule, arbitrator must be an advocate under the Advocate Act 1961, and it has to have a 10 years of experience along with it, and also an officer of an Indian legal service, among other. Now the benefit is that this will benefit foreign arbitrators due to removal of qualifications, and also all stakeholders parties get an opportunity to seek an unconditional stay on enforcement of arbitral award. If we talk about Arbitral Award Council, it has that Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Act seeks for establishment and incorporation of an independent body named Arbitration Council of India. So in 2019 it seeks for independent establishment of this Arbitration Council of India, and Arbitration Council of India is set for grading of arbitral institution and accreditation of arbitrators. Arbitration Council of India will be headed by the chairperson who has been a judge of Supreme Court or Chief Justice of or Judge of High Court, or an eminent person appointed by the central government in consultation with the Chief Justice of India. So it has to be headed by chairperson, that is to be Chief Judge of the Supreme Court, or Chief Justice could be, or Judge of a High Court, or any other eminent person that is appointed by the central government with the consultation with the Chief Justice. And this will have 2 full-time members among eminent arbitration practitioners and academicians, and 1 representative of the recognized body of the commerce and industry, and shall be nominated on rotational basis as a part-time members. We'll discuss later on. Thank you.